is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. We are here for the 6-game Thursday main slate, starting at 7 o'clock, running up till 9 o'clock. No 10:30 game here on the main slate for DraftKings. James, some pretty good matchups here. We're coming off of a Wednesday slate where we had some big performances. You were dead on with some of your calls from the show. Damian Lillard obviously coming through with a big night. Bobby Portis, big game there. That Bucks Celtics game was competitive there at the end. It was a kind of a blowout for the 3 quarters, and then Milwaukee went nutty. Chet Holmgren essentially broke the slate if you played him. Man had, what did he say, 18 in the fourth or something like
18
that?
18 in the fourth, yeah. 18.
Yeah, some crazy number there. So, turn the page. We got 6 games here. Sacramento, Washington. Sacramento, obviously Washington there to see who's going to be in that lineup for the Wizards. Pelicans, Orlando, Nets, Bucks on the second leg of a back-to-back. Chicago, Houston, Utah, Dallas, and Knicks, Denver, kind of rounding out the slate here. So some pretty interesting matchups.
I would be surprised if Milwaukee wasn't just Damian Lillard in this game, John, because reports came out that Middleton could get up to 30 minutes. He played 33.
Okay.
They put him in the end. I would be so shocked if he played. Also, Giannis now 2 games out with a hamstring. I'd also be shocked if he played, just considering he was ruled out so early in the day on the front leg of this back-to-back, right?
Yep.
So seems like Milwaukee's going to be super short-handed. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they give Dame some rest too. But we'll see, because they are still obviously fighting for the 2 seed.
They're a game ahead of Cleveland. They're 2 games ahead of the Knicks. So I mean,
so you probably get Dame. You probably have Dame, maybe Middleton, maybe, but would be very surprised. Washington, you already mentioned, they've already given us some news. No Kuzma on the injury report, so he's fully, as of right now, expected to play.
Yeah.
No Tyus, no Bagley. Rashawn Holmes downgraded to questionable. Koulibaly out for the year. Omoyuri, Shamet out, and Denny's questionable too.
Yep.
So I think the Kings unscathed. I think Harrison Barnes got hurt and started the second half of that game on Thursday. Should be a pretty fun one, interesting one, especially when you don't see that many names on the injury report.
Right. For 6 games, rather clean.
Utah back to back. We should get the Utah guys back, right? Like Markkanen Markkanen should play.
Collins played today too. We weren't sure if he was going to suit up or not. He did end up suiting up. So should be good there for them. Game total wise, Sacramento, Washington has a 237. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, 222.5. 238.5 for Utah, Dallas, leading the way there. We got a couple games under 210. Knicks, Denver, 209. Pelicans, Magic also at 209 here. So some things to pay attention to as we move across. Starting off at the point guard position, you have Luka at 12-7 in that matchup against Utah here with the 238 total, but it is a 13.5 point spread. Luka played a whole bunch of minutes there against San Antonio. You were again on the nose there with San Antonio playing a competitive game, leading to Luka playing 40 minutes. He went for 60 fantasy points. You maybe even would expected a higher output considering he went 6 for 27 from the floor. So it should be a good spot for him here against Utah. Obviously, you mentioned Dame could be by himself. Fox at 93, Brunson at 91, rounding out your 9K tier.
Dude, no reason to think Luka doesn't play 40 again. They're in the play-in, right? They want to get out of the play-in. If you're in the Western Conference, you do not want to be in that play-in tour. You just don't. You are Luka and you're Kyrie, and then you're looking across. It's I have to play LeBron and AD in a play-in, and then I have to play Steph, Clay, Draymond in a play-in. I know that's not the same as it once was, but who has more playoff experience than those 2 teams? So we're gonna see 40 out of Luka, and like you said, he went for 60 in a game. He went for 6 for 27. That just tells you all you need to know about what Luka Doncic's upside is. So getting Utah on the second leg of a back-to-back, even in a blowout, he should play 35. I'm gonna say the same thing I said about Dame as I did on Thursday. Like if it's him and him only, or him and Middleton limited, I'm gonna play Damian Lillard at 9,500 because we saw like he wasn't even that great in that game. Like he made some big threes in the second half, but he had like basically nothing in the first quarter. Like everything was from second quarter on. And he's just one of those dudes that can fill it up really, really fast. I would go to Dame on the second leg of a back-to-back. Kyrie was good again in that San Antonio game. Not as good peripherally because Luke had 16 assists. So you're not going to get like those two things coexisting too often.
Yeah. When Luke is not hitting shots, it's hard for Kyrie to get assists.
Right.
So,
yep. De'Aaron Fox did not have to play like any minutes at all either.
Do you worry that could be the case here, though?
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Might not have to play minutes again. Dude, this next play, Jalen Brunson, is one of the more interesting things of the slate, right? Because he is too cheap again at $9,100. But it's a really tough spot against Denver. But like, who's to say he doesn't continue to do what he's doing, right? Against Denver. I mean, he's going to play big minutes. He's going to take all the shots, 25, 28, 30 shots the last 3 games. And in those games, 34, 42, 45 actual points. Like it's a terrible spot, but like there's essentially nobody in the NBA that has a more lit green light than Jalen Brunson at this point. So 9,100, I am, even in a tough spot, highly intrigued by Brunson.
Maybe one guy that has a green light is Jalen Green.
That is fair. That is
listen, we talked about it. Last couple of games, he has gone nuclear. 2 of those games did come against Washington. Sure. This is a huge pace down spot for many teams going against Chicago. Yes. So does that impact him at all? I'll say he's shooting the 3 ball better than he really has all season long. And we know what Chicago's weakness is they give up a lot of threes, but he's going to be dealing with Ayo. He's going to be dealing with Caruso. Like, are you concerned about this matchup for Jalen Green here?
Not really. When you look at the Bulls' second half, they're 25th in defense. Like, they have really struggled specifically defensively since the All-Star break. And that's with Caruso, with Ayo, like fully healthy in the lineup, right? So I don't have really any concerns. Obviously, we're not used to Jalen Green being 8,300, but he's taken 20-plus shots in 3 straight games. No Şengün.
Right.
I alluded to the rebounding, like the opportunities. Dude, I mean, just another like very quality game on the glass. 2 back-to-back double-doubles. Like, are we expecting 42, 26, 37? No, not every night. But like,
he was the number 2 overall pick.
Dude,
right?
Number 2 overall pick felt slighted that he wasn't number 1 over Cade. And if this is just going to continue to be like the ascension that we're seeing out of Jalen Green, like, yeah, I don't think this is too expensive.
No, I'm with you there. Frederick Leit's right below him at 82. Kobe White, we'll see if he's in or not at 76. Jordan Poole, 7K. Was not a good night for Utah. Keontae George, 69. He didn't do anything really in that game this evening. Ayo also at 6,900. McCollum, 64. Amen Thompson, point guard, small forward eligibility, 63. He had a big game. Schroeder down here at 62. Good matchup for guards. Thoughts on the mid-tier here?
So I've heard a couple times Will Hardy talk about he doesn't think that like his team competes enough on back-to-backs, especially Keontae George hasn't navigated back-to-backs well enough. He looked terrible in the last back-to-back. That's a little scary for me. I don't know if that necessarily like means anything, but I don't love that. It is interesting that Ayo is this price. Like, we're obviously not accustomed to this. Dude, he's been great. If there's no Kobe White, it's definitely a little bit interesting for Ayo Dosunmu. 54, 42 fantasy points in 2 games without Kobe White, 39, 40 minutes. So definitely a little intrigue there. Like, the McCollum price is getting so intriguing, but it's just so seldom that he has big games at this point, and it's a terrible matchup. Amen Thompson is going to be really popular. It just seemingly doesn't matter what the price gets to. he's going to be popular because he's super aggressive offensively and he's super aggressive on the glass.
It's funny how this season started with everybody all over Oscar Thompson, and now we're going to be finishing it with Ahmed being like, he's the better brother at the moment, right? Like,
yeah, and he's been, I mean, to his credit, he's been great. So
seizing the opportunities. I mean, the efficiency is, you
off
do
the
worry,
charts.
right? Like if he has a bad shooting night, then obviously the numbers come down. Great to see the rebounding consistent there, but 10 of 12, 8 of 11, 9 of 12. Like he's got to keep being really good around the rim. But she is,
That's what it is. Everything's at the rim.
Yeah.
Like everything he shoots is at the rim.
Yep. So it's good to see. Again, $6,300. He's gonna, people are gonna go there.
Yep.
Again, shooter on the other side of that matchup with Dame, and then you go down. I mean, you have the Washington guys. Butler is at 47.
Yes.
Beverly's at 46. Dunn at 45. Cole Anthony, Keon Ellis is somebody you mentioned this morning. THT got a couple of minutes here. I mean, like, are you buying into any of these value plays?
So Keon Ellis was good. We said he wouldn't do the block steal thing again, John. 5 steals and blocks again in 25 minutes. He closed the first half. He over Harrison Barnes, for the record, and that might have been because of a Barnes injury, but just saying. He'll start as long as there's no Kevin Huerter, seemingly. 21 fantasy points. So if we need a little bit more at 41 because he was 37.
Sure.
But I'd be okay getting to Keon Ellis. I could see Chris Dunn sitting the second leg because they sat him for injury management. If you remember, like the last back-to-back they had, Beverly played a decent amount of minutes.
He only had like 9 points and a block or something like that.
Yeah, 22 minutes, 9 points and a block and a made 3. And that's just that's just
But do you think now that like Middleton sits as well, like it's just going to keep like opening up minutes for him?
Yes, the Middleton news will be key for us. I think that could obviously lead to more minutes. I do think that there's something interesting about Dante Exum 28 minutes last game when you factor in no Josh Green, right? Like Josh Green. Dude, they've kind of cut THJ, like, not out of the rotation, but he is, like, when everyone's healthy, I mean, other than the game that Luka sat, THJ, 17, 15, 14, 18 minutes in the 5 games surrounding the game that Luka sat. If you remember, before Exum got hurt, remember Kid's comments where he was like, yeah, we're going to start all 3 of them.
Yeah.
He didn't, but, like, I'm just saying, if he's getting ramped up to play these types of minutes, and he's like been really good this year. So
when given playing time, he's been very good this year, 100%.
So just an outside shout to Exum, who's in a really good spot against his former team.
Agreed. Shooting guard here. Again, a lot of these guys we discussed. You have Ingram at 75, Sexton at 74, who's really the only Jazz player that showed up tonight. Cam Thomas continues to shoot the ball really well. He's $7,200. Jordan Poole we talked about already as well. Again, we know this about Cam Thomas, right? He's just going to be a bucket. I was skeptical of him shooting well against the Pelicans, though, and he did. So, Milwaukee, as depleted as they may end up being in this game, Cam Thomas should have free reign to score here.
Yeah, didn't have to really shoot well. Did shot a lot though. He continued to shoot a lot, and that's. Honestly, that's all that matters when it comes to Cam Thomas. Except that one game earlier in the year when he was like 3 for 30 when we played him, and he hit a 3 and then took it off the board because he's out of bounds. But I don't remember those types.
That was like the only time he like didn't score.
I think Cam Thomas is very, very interesting in tournaments for sure.
We were getting better peripheral stats out of him. Obviously, 32 at 72 isn't what we're looking for, but if he can just go back to sort of this range. Could be a spot for him there. Thoughts on Sexton? Again, didn't start again, but if they sit guys on the back-to-back, like he could start. You mentioned they're going to have Mallory probably back here now too, but dude is consistent as all hell. I mean, in terms of shot attempts here.
Yeah, I assume he doesn't start until Clarkson comes back. Then maybe he gets like input back into the starting lineup, just to have like that 6-man coming off the bench to score. But yeah, I'm fine with it. I think I lean Cam Thomas against Milwaukee, second leg of a back-to-back for them. But Sexton's definitely fine in tournaments.
DDV's price is all the way down to $6,400. He's still playing over 30 minutes, but obviously the scoring has subsided a bit with Brunson playing the way that he is playing. Talk Murphy, again, 30 minutes for him. Got 26 fantasy points. Didn't really shoot well. Obviously, 1 of 8 from 3, but it, could show the upside. Not that we love too many matchups against Orlando. I guess Caruso being questionable is obviously a good thing to pay attention to there for Chicago. If they're without White and Caruso in this game, that could be something to watch for. Beasley at 51. If there's no Middleton and no Giannis, I definitely don't mind that spot there.
Dude, did you see how many minutes Deuce McBride played the other day? He started.
Seems like a lot.
Dude. Josh Hart didn't sit, by the way. He played every minute. Like, we talk about efficiency. He was 9 for 13 from the floor.
Yeah.
He had 29 actual. Unlikely to happen again. But if, again, another situation where you talk about minutes, if the Knicks are competitive against Denver and he starts again with no OG, dude, McBride's too cheap at 47, no?
I mean, probably at 46 minutes, right?
At 46 minutes, he's too cheap.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I won't argue that. Because, I mean, like, the other guys in their range are far, I mean, he's 46 minutes is just insane. It's insane what Tibbs is doing, the team. Because, right, the other one would be Beasley, right? He probably gets over 30 minutes again, like you would know Middleton.
Yeah.
34, 39. So,
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else for shooting guard for you?
No, that's it.
Okay. Small forward, DeRozan, $8,400. Houston at home, though. We'll have potentially, we think, Markkanen back, 8K. Hart, $7,300, as you mentioned, didn't come off the floor. Played all 48. The list of guys playing 48 minutes is what again? Josh Hart, then nobody. Like,
Dude, it is actually criminal.
Triple doubled again.
He is going to. I mean, there's just no way I don't know. There was a video. Do you see? The video of him like walking into the Peloton class, like a random Peloton class. Like, dude needs a Peloton. Like this. I mean,
get the cardio going.
Dude, he did not sit. We had the comment the other night. I wouldn't play Josh Hart. I think was the exact quote by one of our subscribers. I wouldn't play Josh Hart. And it's like, I get it. That
I don't.
Like, I get that, like, we're not used to seeing Josh Hart at $7,000, right? But like, dude, on a night he went 5 of 18 from the floor. He played every minute of every second that you could possibly play.
Mm-hmm.
And triple doubled. But he took 18 shots, dude.
Yeah.
No OG Anunoby in that game. Remember the 2 games prior, 7 and 8? Guess who was in that rotation? OG Anunoby was in that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he's asked to do different things when there's no OG. And what if he
doesn't come off the floor?
Dude, what if he was like 7 for 18 and the 2 extra shots were threes? Like, right. We're talking a guy who goes for 50, like, and then we're not even having like another elongated discussion about Josh Hart that we have every day. Every day. It's like, well, he's 2% owned and nobody wants to play him. And
any guy that plays 40 minutes plus a night should be in your lineup builds. Like, player pool.
He should 100% be in your player pool. Like, player pool. Dude, it's just like
opportunity to score is greater than almost anybody else in the league at that point. It's not even points, just unless he's Tony Snell, like, he's going to give you something, right? Like,
dude, technically, now this is, I'm just saying this, technically, Josh Hart has more opportunity to score than Luka Doncic.
It's true.
Technically. Dude, he plays 8 more minutes than Luka every night, right? Like,
for the most part, yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
I agree. Opportunity.
He did not. Now, like, will he break down? Possibly. Will it all come crashing down? Very, very strong
I think
possibility.
what's helping him out is that he's not a big man, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, he's
well, he's a wing. You know, he is not DeAndre Ayton out there. You know, like,
can he play 48 in Denver? Because if he can play 48 in Denver, he might not sit the rest of the year. Dude, if he can play 48 in Denver, he may not sit one singular minute the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, if you could do it here, you could play it
anywhere. Yeah.
You could do it. I mean, he is firmly in my player pool. This is the most interested I've been in the Knicks, and this is like the worst spot possible.
I agree. Mikal Bridges is $6,700. MPJ 65. I don't think I've played much of Michael Porter Jr. at all this year.
No.
We've talked Amon Thompson, Kispert, Champagnie, 52 and 49. Champagnie didn't start that game, came off the bench, still played really well. 33 fantasy points for him. Yeah. Kispert, had another one of those nights where he made his shots. Only 19 fantasy points though, because he only made shots in that game. Didn't do anything else.
Yep.
Where else are you taking a peek? They started Sensabaugh, right, in that game too for Utah?
They did start Sensabaugh, but I have to assume he doesn't start if Markkanen's back too. Okay. So I assume he just goes back to kind of like irrelevancy. If Harry B sits, I think Chris Duarte would be a little bit interesting. He had a really good game. He's been in the rotation a little bit more. Yeah, especially there's no Kevin Huerter too. So like if Harry B sat on a back-to-back with Huerter out as well, I think that's at least somewhat like viable. Sure. I think if there's no Middleton, we probably see 30 minutes out of Jay Crowder here. We saw a couple.
Crowder only played 15 minutes tonight, though.
He was in foul trouble. He picked up his fourth foul early third, and I don't think he ever came back into the game. Maybe that's because they liked. I mean, Portis obviously played all of the second half minutes.
Yes,
Portis only played 11 first half minutes, so. He played 22 second half minutes, and he was great. Obviously, like I would have done that too.
They gave Gallinari 19 minutes in that game.
They did weirdly give Gallinari 19 minutes. They gave Connaughton 24. If they're like let's say they rest Gallinari on a second leg, or they rest Middleton, I do think there might be a path for Crowder.
Okay.
Maybe not though. Maybe we just ignore that situation in general. Maybe we play Connaughton. There's obviously just more intrigue if Middleton and Giannis are out, right? Because it's like it's not. It can just be Damon Portis, but is it actually just Damon Portis? Like I know you mentioned Beasley, but like there's just a lot of minutes. Middleton played 33 minutes, dude. Like there's a lot of minutes to potentially soak up if Middleton sits here.
I agree. Power forward position here. Again, we don't know if Giannis will play. We're not expecting Giannis to play here. But he's 11-4. Banchero's 88. Zion at 86. Zion had 28, 7, and 4 in that game against Brooklyn, 33 minutes. Again, Orlando generally a tougher spot, but the way he is playing can always give him a look. No Kuzma on the injury report. Now, he did not have a good game against Chicago. It's kind of sad. 29 minutes, it got blown out. If Washington is able to keep it close, we always say it's likely because Kyle Kuzma's having a big game. So, $8,100 would be a tough pill to swallow if it ended up being blown out, but know that potential is there for him. Bobby Poe would be super chalk given the way he isn't playing. Where else are you looking?
We didn't talk. Would you play Middleton if he plays 6,600?
Yeah, as long as there's no obvious like limitations to him.
Okay. I mean, the Paolo Zion matchup is super fun. That's one of the more fun matchups of the night. I think, yeah, dude, that's fun. That's so fun. I'm okay getting to either. I'd probably lean Zion 8,600. Kuzma 81, you mentioned, definitely fine in tournaments, especially if the Kings don't defend anybody, which we know they might not.
Right.
Guess the Jabari Smith game and you win a prize. Back-to-back 40 burgers for Jabari, but low 30s minutes just seems to be what he's going to play on a nightly basis.
Yeah, he's kind of playing out of position, right? So maybe that's actually hurting him here.
Well, they actually extended Landell quite a bit, and
right. But do you think that's what's actually hurting him though, because he's splitting center minutes? He's not just the power forward here.
Yeah, could be. But he was good again for Portis. You mentioned. Keegan's been okay, but they've had a lot of home games and now not a home game.
Now on the road, yeah.
Hendricks is fine. Achua didn't start, barely played in that Golden State game.
They played McBride. So if they go small.
Yeah.
Do you think they go small with Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic wings though?
You can.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah, you can. Brooklyn starting lineup's gonna be interesting. Dorian Finney-Smith already ruled out.
Yeah.
So assume that's Cam Johnson.
We didn't 22 in that last game.
Finney-Smith played 28, and it was a 13-point game, but the starters didn't play the whole fourth quarter.
Okay.
I'd be interested to see if maybe Lonnie Walker's extended, but also it's just so hard to predict Lonnie Walker games.
Yeah.
I would assume Cam Johnson's just the easy plug there.
Okay. You're still getting 30-plus minutes out of Herb Jones here. You're getting 30-plus minutes out of PJ Washington. Baldwin went back down to 20 with Kuzma active, but he still had a decent game there.
No. Kuzma was not active in that game.
Oh, you're right.
He had 2 fouls. He played 3 first-half minutes, and then did every single fantasy stat he accrued was in the second half.
In the second half of that game, right. I remember you telling me that actually, that you played him and he had nothing, and then he had everything. Sure.
Everything, yeah. Did you see what happened with Jonathan Isaac?
Isaac played 8 minutes.
No injury. Just played 8 minutes. Just played 8 minutes. They moved on. They
had 14.5 fantasy points, though.
He did in 8 minutes. I saw a bunch of people rebooting, anything bet Jonathan Isaac.
Streaming reboots, yeah.
I think the sports books gave it back because nobody understood why Jonathan Isaac
didn't play. What else you got for power forward?
I mean, if Jonathan Isaac is going to play, I would play Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, you'll never know though. So
you just won't know.
You did play Anthony Gill, you said, right?
I was planning to play Anthony Gill. I think he's the backup center, and that's he might start at center, but they also might start Kuzma at center. So if there's no Rashawn Holmes, then there's a chance I'd play him.
I just got a push notification that there was a benches clearing altercation between the Grizzlies and the Warriors as Desmond Bane and Draymond Green got into it. So, shocker, Draymond Green involved in some altercation there. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that one ends up happening there. All right, center position. The Joker's 12K gets the Knicks here. Coming off another 60 fantasy points game where, again, it's what I've said to you on Joker lately. It's like he's not really paying it off, right? You're getting 5x. So you can always play him. But Luka has more tournament upside at this point, it feels like. And I understand you went for 94 5 games ago. But for the most part, the last month, you're getting more 50, 55, 60 fantasy points out of Jokic here than you're getting ceiling games on Jokic here.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's obviously a ceiling. The assists have been a little weird. But 35 and 16, pretty good spot against the Knicks. Hartenstein's good. Draymond's a tool, by the way. I just watched what happened. He got scored on by Santi Aldama and got a little salty about it.
Makes sense. The Joker's there. Sabonis is $1,000 cheaper, gets Washington. Obviously, we know what Sabonis can do. Same thing that Jokic has been doing lately. Vucevic at $8,500. I mean, it's not a terrible matchup for Vuk here. Going up against Jabari. Coming off of a 50 fantasy point game a couple of games ago himself against the Wizards. Collins at 68. Bobby Portis, we know will be quite interesting. If Claxton's out too.
Buddy, Aaron Sharp season.
Right.
Going off 17 rebounds, by the way. Career high 17 rebounds last game.
Yeah, that's something to look for. Daniel Gafford, he's going to play in the mid-20s. He continues to be good for Dallas here. Like, what's your overall feelings on the center position?
I mean, obviously a lot hinges on Claxton, right? Because we would just plug Darren Sharp would be the easiest plug of the night. Just plug Darren Sharp, move on. Hartenstein played 25 minutes. He was really good in those 25 minutes, but again, they just are reluctant to extend him. Like,
yeah, he got the 28 against Sacramento, so I was kind of hopeful, but
I know, but like, why? Like, he was so good to just play 25. So if you like, now he has to play the Joker. It's like, I think Landale is a little bit interesting in tournaments. He's been pretty good in 4 of the last 5. Larry Nance started the second half again. Larry Nance was really, really good last game. 28 minutes, back-to-back games for Larry Nance. He's going to just continue to start second halves. That's probably it.
I would agree with you. Where do you want to go with this? Luka? All things start with Luka?
Yeah.
All right, all the Luka.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because the mid tiers.
Agreed. We're probably still going Champagne here, though, right?
Yeah, that's fine. McBride 47.
Yeah, that's fine. Assuming all these lineups end up being the same. McBride.
Well, no. Well, we know there's no OG, so I'd have a hard time not believing McBride was.
We talked a lot about Hart. We plugged Hart in. That gives us 51 a play. Larry Nance, you mentioned starting the second half of these games. Sharp would be the obvious play.
Yeah, Sharp would be the great. What
is play him anyways? Thinking he just gets like 20 minutes, and then upside if he plays more.
Well, let's play Nance.
Okay,
and then pivot.
Pivot down.
Pivot. Okay. Yeah, Dayron's the pivot there.
53. You've talked Ellis. I'm fine running that one back. $5,900. Let's see. What do we think? Crowder. Just banking on people being out.
Amen Thompson. 63. So we're not playing Jalen Green.
Sure. $5,500 util brings us to Hendricks, Carter, Kispert. I mean, Beasley, not terrible there.
Yeah, probably Beasley if there's no Middleton.
Right, got $400 left over. If you want to move around, we certainly can. Luka, McBride, Champagne, Hart, Nance, Ellis, Thompson, and Beasley. Paying up for Luka, as we tend to do here on the show. I have your playbook, so be on the lookout for that during the afternoon. We'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern to get you all ready with all the latest news and updates. Till then, everybody, we'll catch you later.